Lily Gaddis put out this message earlier today that at the time that I read it, I didn't know what to think, but it was certainly very disturbing. And it wasn't one that I personally thought was true, but you never know. Candace Owens' family reached out to me earlier this morning. It is with deep sadness and sorrow that I am sharing the passing of my longtime friend and fellow political commentator, Candace. But I also can't shake the feeling that this wasn't simply a random tragedy. Excuse me. There are circumstances surrounding Candace's death, especially after Charlie's passing, that raised serious questions, and I hope the full truth comes to light. I want to respect her family's privacy, so I will refrain from sharing any details. Please stay posted. Now, I don't know about you, but that's a very serious statement. That's putting it nicely. Well, it turns out that it was false flag. Colin, can I have Candace's response? Thank you for all the messages of concern, but I am not dead. If I were, it would be entirely appropriate for you to have blamed Israel. Somewhat relatedly, I'm not sure that's a word, but nevertheless, Charlie Kirk was not concerned he was going to be killed by a transgendered furry after a full day of arguing with Zionists about him abandoning the pro-Israel cause. Hope this helps. Why would Lily Gaddis put out a message like that? What exactly was she hoping to accomplish by doing that? Or was she given a message that other people were going to follow suit with because they knew something that we didn't? Was Candace Owens supposed to be killed today? That says a lot. Why would she put out that statement? It really says a lot, but I'm not even sure it's necessarily about Lily Gaddis. Frankly, I don't give a shit what she has to say. I never did. But was Candace supposed to die today? Was there a botched assassination attempt that we're just not aware of? That they were already ready to say, she's gone? I don't know. But it's enough for Candace to have made a statement. And if you're looking for a reason why they felt the need that it was time to finally silence her, this is from the other day.
As we unpacked yesterday, when you run this theory that Charlie's microphone was rigged, suddenly every little oddity in this story, every little oddity from September 10th onward begins to make a lot more sense. To briefly recap, we put together this graphic for you guys. The rigged mic would go a long way in terms of explaining why the bomb dogs were kept away from the scene, okay, because they would have smelled the explosive. Why the crime scene was immediately paved over and the soil was excavated. That's because explosive residue, as we have learned, really hangs on to soil. It is.
And this has always been one of the primary reasons why Jen and I from the jump were thinking, okay, they clearly paved over a crime scene over that weekend. They had to cover it up because whatever was there, the real evidence, whatever could be implicating Israel, anybody within the government, they had to keep it under wraps. So they just went in and paved it all. It didn't look right on the surface then, doesn't look right on the surface now. And we still have a lot more questions. She has more to say.
is highly soil absorbed. So I can show you that here. I think we have a little science article that you can look up. You can research this on your own, but it says that the low water solubility and high soil absorption of PETN in particular, if we think that is the explosive, it would be very problematic, and you would in fact need to dig out the soil. Well, my answer to that would be, as I said, running this theory, that it is because of high soil absorption. It is a fixture of PETN explosive. Again, another thing that just sort of would lock into place. Why the feds were searching for Charlie Kirk's necklace, the same reason, explosive residue. Why there appears to be shattered black plastic or glass all over the SUV, which transported Charlie to the hospital. That would be the road bike. That would fit in perfectly. That would make sense. Why there is no available footage or any eyewitness reports of someone seen firing a shot from the Losey building. That's a big, strange anomaly here.
No, it's not. Because the thing about this assassination, which we have always maintained, was either done by or at the behest of Israel. The exploding microphone was what we instinctively said, yeah, that's what it looks like. You saw the explosion and the fountain water, the water spout of blood. That's what it seemed like to me. Now, is that exactly what happened? I don't know, but I know what my eyes are telling me. And that's what Candace is saying. And we know that this has been one of their modus operandi in terms of how they kill people. So, the noticing continues.
Why do we not have those people? Yes, I saw him take a shot. Yeah, because no shot was actually taken from the Losey building. Why the feds did not conduct a standard GSR gunshot residue test when Tyler Robinson was brought in, because they knew that he would fail it. And that would not help them in court if Tyler Robinson, who they say they got after a 33-hour manhunt, 33 hours on a minute over, failed the GSR test, especially when they say he was wearing the same outfit. It would also explain why Terrell Farnsworth violated the crime scene immediately, quite boldly, to remove the SD card from that back footage, because it would have captured that the 30-06, which would have decapitated Charlie, did not go through. Also, it would explain why there was unusually no ambulance on standby. I always had an ambulance on standby at my Turning Point USA events when I toured. This is an anomaly. It would answer to that would be because, well, the paramedics would have seen the shattered road mic pieces and all of the other evidence, which did not support a gunshot wound.
Agreed. That's why it never made any sense. That's why all of the elements of a setup, the patsy, then you think about the gentleman's name is slipping me that stood up in the crowd and said, I did it, even though he's been to several assassinations and major world events like 9/11. Just happened to be there that day to witness the event. You know, like dancing Israelis. Nothing makes sense. We're all crazy. No, actually, we're not. We just didn't think that George Zinn, correct. Just think that this just came out of nowhere? No. And Sean is right. There's no GSR test from the beginning. And as a result, the second you find holes in the story, you know that it's a work. You don't leave anything unturned. And now we're almost, what are we, 9 months later? 10 months later. And we're no closer. And as a result, we know for sure that it's a work.
That would be the reason why you would just have his security team transport him under this theory. Again, we're thinking while it's still legal to do so. Lastly, it would go some way of explaining why Erica was quick to forgive Tyler Robinson before the world, quicker than she was able to forgive Drewski when she came out weeks later looking like an assassin and saying that, you know, she was so angry at Drewski, much more angry than she was at Tyler Robinson. So bizarre. So bizarre. Well, it's easy to forgive someone if you maybe know they didn't do anything. I could probably forgive someone who didn't do something to me either. I don't know.
Oh, no, we know. We know what we're seeing. We're seeing an attempt to rewrite history, and it's not going to work. In fact, it's pretty telling, like I said, to even come out and make a statement asking, we're all asking, why would Lily Gaddis make that statement unless there was a plan to take out Candace today and it didn't come to fruition? That's possible. That would be my guess. But whatever it was a botched post that she pulled pretty fast. Remember, those are screenshots. She deleted it. But the internet is forever, as we say. And so as a result, people now know that there may very well have been an attempt on Candace's life today, and it didn't, and it failed. What that was, who knows? Whatever her statement was, or why she came out with that, or maybe she felt that she was going to be the first one to mention it because she's in a group chat that suggested that that was the case. That to me says a lot. But this statement by Candace is a reflection of why they want to shut her up. Because now, as the walls continue to close in on Israel, this is what happens. They're just going to go for broke, and they're going to take as many people with them as they can. Could you imagine if Candace was assassinated today? I mean, if there was anybody that still had any doubt left in them about whether or not that Israel was the one behind this, that would have obviously been the end. That would have been the end completely. But I still believe that something went down today that they thought they would complete, but it didn't happen. And so credit to Candace for continuing to use her major platform to push forward this much needed narrative about the truth regarding the state of Israel. And then here we are.